I would like to bring Pastor Roemke in actually to talk about this moment.
Yeah. He's the pastor of Messiah Lutheran Church in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Thanks for coming on, Pastor Roemke.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me.
So the Trump impersonation was amazing.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you. I work on it all the time. Believe me, it's great.
You just need to be a little more orange. That's it. You got it.
I'm getting out in the sun as much as I can.
So you come on, you give this benediction at the end of the day yesterday, and I understand that you believe that was that. Like, did you know that you were going to share the stage with this Hindu priestess goddess worshiper?
No, and just a little point of clarification. I believe she's Sikh.
Okay.
I don't know what the difference is. But I made it clear when I was asked to do this that I could not do it if anyone else was up there. Because I don't want to have a confusion of our confessions, and I don't want to portray the Holy Triune God as being equal with any other God.
Yeah.
And frankly, I wouldn't have wanted to pray up there with a Catholic who then would pray to the Virgin Mary, because we don't agree with that.
Right. So,
but
you
it was brought out.
You didn't know she was coming on.
No, not until within, I don't know. The time frame it's been crazy. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
That's all right.
I've got a million people calling. I'm not a person who, I'm a pastor at not a huge church in Kenosha, and
How did you get invited to do that closing prayer?
It's crazy. Let me answer the first question.
Yeah.
It was probably about, I hate to say this. I don't want to sound like, weird, but it was when we were getting our makeup done for the thing that they're like, oh, bring both the benedictions into the makeup room. And she's sitting kind of next to me, and I'm like, what's going on here? And I asked the person who's kind of like my handler, who was incredibly nice. All the people who worked at the convention were very nice. I didn't even speak to Harmeet. She didn't talk to me at all. And she wasn't rude, but she didn't have any interest in really talking to me, which is fine. But I texted the person who was helping me, kind of guiding me along. And I said, I need to talk to you right away. And so she came to me, and I said, I was led to believe that I'd be the only one, and I can't pray with her and have it seem to be as though we're kind of equal faiths.
Yeah.
And I said, well, okay, if she doesn't come out until I'm off the stage, I guess I'd be comfortable with that, but it's not ideal.
Yeah, I don't know. What would you do in that situation, Toby? That being popped on you, and
yeah, I know. But I think
that's hard.
Yeah, it's a hard call. And but that was your concern, though. We don't want to be on the same stage at the same time. I at least want to distinguish that we're not on equal footing and confusing people. That somehow it's all faiths lead to God or anything like that.
Right.
Exactly. And I think that honestly, like watching it, I think that it was pretty clear we were different faiths.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And I've seen some regarding that prayer service after 9/11. One of our own Missouri Synod District presidents participated in that. And first of all, the difference is he participated in it with meditation. Like he knew he was going to do it. Uh-huh. He agreed to being up on stage where they were at with a bunch of other people. And it was kind of like a line, like, okay, now you say you're God, and you say you're God, and you say you're God. And so I felt like, okay, well, I'm here now, and it's going to be this way. At least I will not be standing on stage. And if I would have stood on stage, I would not have bowed my head. I wouldn't have been on stage.
Right. Sure.
But it was unfortunate. It wasn't, it wasn't ideal. But I'd been there for 13 hours. President Trump was there. I had this prayer that I thought was a very good prayer.
Yeah.
Perhaps the best prayer. I don't know. A lot of people say it's great. It was
God heard it the most.
The most. So let me tell you, that's the truth.
So
that's how it was.
How did you get invited to do that prayer?
It was kind of weird. Last week, I was in Indiana visiting family. My mom had a mini stroke. Thank God she's doing well from that now. But I was leaving Indiana, leaving the hospital, coming back to Wisconsin. Before I got in my car, I got an email on my phone, and it was from this person saying, oh, hey, I'm with the RNC. Your name was suggested as somebody who might be willing to do a benediction? Are you interested? And I emailed back right away, and I thought, this has got to be a joke. One of my friends is like, oh, yeah, you're going to love this.
Yeah.
And so I emailed back and said, well, call me. She called me within 10 minutes and said, yeah, this is real. Would you be willing to do it? And I said to her, just what I told you. If, first of all, if I'm the only one doing it.
No.
Second of all, if you won't edit or, take away anything I want to say, which they did not at all.
Yeah.
That prayer is almost exactly word for word, except for the petition about thanking God for saving Trump and for sparing his life and for the victims. I added that, but everything else is from our hymnal.
Yeah.
They didn't change anything. I thought that they might balk at the triune invocation at the beginning or the Aaronic benediction at the end, but not a bit. They were okay with it. And I said, okay, well, I'll do it then.
Well, Rome was okay with it.
Rome?
the syncretism in Rome was okay with all
the Roman Empire.
That's
didn't
right.
care.
As long as you're just
Pastor Roemke, I mean, what do you? We've been talking about like what is going on in the RNC. I mean, you've been there. You've seen it on the ground a little bit. Obviously, even this switcheroo on you. You've been right in the middle of it. It seems like there's a real struggle for the soul of the Republican Party. There's a lot of deep residual Christianity, a lot of deep residual Protestant Christianity, and at the same time, you've got confusions like this. What are your thoughts on just the state of the Republican Party, given the fact that you were there?
Yeah. Well, I think not just the state of the Republican Party, but the state of our nation is the same way. There's deep residual Christian Protestant values and beliefs, but there's this constant, and I think the way we have to look at it is we're not going to have one final slam dunk and it be over. The devil is going to continue to struggle for the soul of our nation, for the soul of our political leaders, for the souls of our children. He's going to continue to strive and wrestle for the souls of our parishioners. And if we think that we can just say, okay, well, we'll get to a place where it's perfect and we can just be done and stop fighting, it's never going to happen. And I felt afterwards, thinking about this now, like just the thing with the overturning of Roe v. Wade as the law of the land. Yeah. It didn't completely strike out the abomination of abortion and infanticide.
Right.
But it did move the ball down the court in a good direction.
How do you,
I think that last night, me being allowed to pray a very faithfully Christian prayer is not saying that the Republican Party is Protestant or Christian or Lutheran Missouri Synod, which I am, and I would love it if that would be the case. Yeah. But it did move the ball down the court, I think. I mean, I looked at some benediction prayers from previous Republican National Conventions, and believe me, they weren't as good as mine.
Were they softer? Were they not Trinitarian? I mean, like, what do you mean?
Soft. They were so soft, believe me. Soft as Sleepy Joe's dinner.
Soft as Sleepy Joe's dinner.
Wow.
I want to follow up on kind of like pressing that question a little further, because I mean, you heard us talking before we introed you into the show, talking about how like the Republican platform is pulling things out that are softening the platform as they're bringing you up on stage to finish in a Trinitarian prayer. And one of my concerns with with Trump is now he has like some sort of like almost limitless equity and capital to do whatever he wants in the Republican Party, and everyone's going to follow. I
don't know. I mean, what do you think? I mean, is that the sense like he's Messiah, like he can do whatever he wants, or is it just deep gratitude that he's a hero and he's fighting for the underdogs, the Christians?
I think that really what it is what I said before. This is spiritual warfare. I mean, nobody's going to be perfect with this. I mean, who would have thought when Trump was elected, he would be the Republican president who got the Supreme Court to flip on Roe v. Wade? I mean, before he ran for president, I just assumed he was a typical New York Democrat type of guy. I was shocked. And I think many people were shocked at how many really conservative issues he tackled. He's not going to tackle everyone, but again, it's moving, I think, the ball down the court in the right direction. And what does the opposing team do? When you move the ball down the court, they're going to try to get it down the court their way, and they're going to push even harder. So we can't just say, oh, well, we got it. I mean, we won. We don't win until Jesus comes back. Not fully. I mean, we have won through his blood and righteousness shed on the cross of Calvary, but until the last day, we will still struggle. And Jesus doesn't make any bones about this. He tells us, the world will hate you because it hated me.
That's right.
Pastor Roemke, you had, I think initially we noticed on Twitter a little bit of pushback from maybe some fellow conservative Lutheran pastors concerned that you had, capitulated, that you were, you were a willing participant in sort of syncretism. That was later backed off and recanted. I think there was one guy, Tyrell Bramwell. I don't know if you saw this, but are you? What's the feedback you're getting generally from people that you're hearing from?
Well, I don't really look at X or Twitter, whatever it is. So I don't know.
You're just on Truth Social?
Truth Social.
I don't do any. I do very little of it.
Just kidding.
It's mostly been incredibly positive and encouraging. And I understand this is a touchy issue. And I may not have done it right. I certainly know I didn't do it perfectly because I'm a damned sinner. So of course I didn't do it perfectly. Where I've sinned, I ask Jesus Christ to forgive me, and any brothers or sisters that I've offended to forgive me. Where I've caused offense, it's not my intention to cause offense, but at the same time, I'm not going to just keep my mouth closed for the sake of not ever causing anyone offense. That's foolish. It is what it is. I did what I did. I don't really have any regrets. I mean, I made Donald Trump laugh 2 days after he was shot in the head.
Fair enough.
That's a win. That's a win.
And I know playing Monday morning quarterback is always a little goofy in these situations, especially when it's like popped on you, like, oh yeah, you're going to be followed up by a Sikh. I don't fault kind of that decision one way or another in that moment because you're trying to do the best you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
At what point though? I always tend to want to do this sooner than later. Maybe there's a little wisdom in maybe kind of thinking through these things. But at what point do you do the Jesus thing and turn over the tables at the Republican convention? I don't know if this is, tomorrow's the moment or yesterday was the moment or whatever, but it seems like there's a major signal that needs to happen from if evangelicals jumped up and down about that, I think that would affect the Republican Party. Yeah. I think the Republican Party would be very much affected by hey, don't take marriage out. Don't take abortion bans out. Don't let the Sikh come to our Christian party and pray. It's like if evangelicals would stand up, it'd probably mute this whole fiasco,
It probably would, but look how weak the evangelical church is.
Ooh.
I mean, we're so weak. I mean, it's terrible. We have got to fix so much in our own house before we can start fixing things outside of our house. And I think that this is, as I said, moving the ball down the court a little bit further in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight. It didn't get the way it is overnight. It's going to take some time. And I think, too, that there's an aspect of this. I'm not in any way considering myself with St. Paul the Apostle, but look at him at Mars Hill. I mean, was it time for him to overturn all the other altars at that time, all the other shrines and idols? He allowed for a little bit of conversation. And I hope, and I've seen myself with correspondence I've gotten through the church, through Facebook, because I'm not a boomer, but I'm old enough that Facebook is still comfortable to me. And other things like that. I've seen a lot of people say, I'm not really a Christian, but that prayer was exactly what we needed to hear. Or I'm not hardcore in any one denomination, but that prayer was really great.
Yeah.
At least I don't want to sound like some kind of postmodernist, we'll just have conversations all the time. There comes a time and place for action. And that time and place, who knows if we're doing it the right way? I mean, I did pray. Believe me, I prayed so hard. I'm not trying to do Trump now. I prayed so much before I went in because I was really I was not planning on doing a Trump impersonation until Donald Trump got there. And then I'm like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
And I was terrified because what if my voice cracked? What if people were offended by it? What if he hated it?
Right.
What if whatever? I mean, so, I was praying not only that God would help me know, is this the right decision? I asked permission to do it. I was given permission to do it. I consulted with some of my pastor colleagues, friends, and got their opinions on it, and then made my own decision and went with it. And I'd like to think that decision caused a lot more people to listen to the whole prayer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to do a bait and switch, certainly. But more people paid attention to that prayer than the Sikh lady's prayer, or whatever it was. And I think that was good.
Yeah.
I mean, had I not done the Trump impersonation, it just would have melded into to hers, and it would have been forgettable.
Yeah, interesting. Pastor Roemke, thank you so much for taking time.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, appreciate what you're doing, and keep up the good work, y'all. If you're in Kenosha, Wisconsin, check him out.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you comment, subscribe, hit the bell, share the show, and go to fightlaughfeast.com or join the pub at flfpub.com.